You are listening to the Hello Sport podcast.
Adam, there you go. Got you now.
G'day, it's Tom here, and this is Edward.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Good, real good.
Beautiful, mate. Thank you. Thank you very much for doing this. I realise that you're a busy man, and we really appreciate having you on.
No worries, but more importantly, is that tequila, that first bottle I can see there?
Yes, it is. It is.
Outstanding. That's a wonderful start.
Are you a tequila man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, we might get into that. Do you recognise that tequila?
Only true vaccine. Sorry?
Do you recognise that tequila, or you just know that it is tequila?
Yeah, what is it? Fortarenza or something?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Fortarenza. It was just recommended to us just the other day, and we haven't opened it yet. So if it was... Well, I mean, we could technically have one with you, Adam. I don't know. It is 12:20.
Mate, any time of the day.
Yeah.
It's absolutely available.
It's changed our lives, to be honest with you. I was a whiskey man until recently, maybe a year ago, and now I can't drink anything else.
I like it. I like it. Have you had it? Anyway, we can get into the body of the podcast.
Yeah, perfect. We'll and look, punters, dribblers, we have got a particularly exciting guest joining us on this week's episode of All Talk. An all-timer, Eddie. We don't often have all-timers on the show.
You don't all the time have all-timers.
No, very rarely.
But we've got an all-timer in our midst right now.
We do. An all-timer in the one and only greatest wicketkeeper of all time, Adam Gilchrist, coming to us from, I'm not sure, we'll find out, but Adam, how are you going? Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, good. G'day, gents. Did you say all or old? I couldn't quite. It just broke up in there. I wasn't sure what you described.
I mean, you are.
Well, you're an older all-timer.
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting older. Put it that way.
Very much older. But nice intro. Thank you. Thanks for the welcome. I'm in Perth. Yeah. So. We're not technically locked away over here anymore, but we're still a little bit isolated over here. But it's always good to catch up with people externally outside of WA, and always good to see you boys looking very relaxed.
Yep,
typically your way.
Thank you very much. Now, so you do from WA, you do the breakfast show with SEN, Gilly and Goss. And then you've also got your own show, which is Catching Up with Gilly on SEN, which is a bit more of the long-form chat like we're doing here. And you've got your Fox League commitments. How are you – does this breakfast show run over the summer? Because I imagine getting up at Sparrow's Fart and then rolling into a day of, cricket commitments would be quite taxing. If you didn't look old, you would after that.
Hey, my name's Gilly, not silly. I made sure that contract runs up until the end of the footy season, and once cricket starts, I'm out of there. Smart, absolutely out of there. No, big Timmy Gossage, he holds fort through the summer, and he typically has someone come in and join him as co-host. But no, it's good fun. Good fun. I'm a bit light touch in the radio world. I'm just Monday and Friday. So top and tail of the sports weekend. Okay. Plenty of content. And as I say, if I've got a captain of the ship steering it in the form of Tim Gossage, who's very experienced campaigner and keeps it nice and straight. So it's been good fun.
Lovely. For some reason, I thought you were coming to us from India. Have you been there recently, or have we just made that up?
No, I was there this time last week. That's why I couldn't join you a week earlier, but I was back in India, my first overseas jaunt post-COVID, or post-COVID turning up. I don't think we're post-COVID yet, but it's good. India, nice, lively place. Have you spent any time there, gents?
No time in India yet. It's on the bucket list though, for sure.
Yeah.
I hear wonderful things about India.
What were you over there for exactly?
I was there with the University of Wollongong, which I'm a brand ambassador, have been for about 14 years. We've been going over. Oh, not just to India, but globally, a whole lot of different things that we've got on, partnerships with other organisations, students, exchange. We're back there. It was good. We're launching the fact that we're going to hopefully open a campus over there, which will be exciting.
So are you an alumni? That seems like that's a nice gig.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful partnership. I was enrolled out of school to go to UOW, my brother's alumni, and I thought I'll follow in my brother's footsteps. But at the time I got accepted in to do PE teaching, I'm from a family of teachers. I deferred for a year and went to the cricket academy. I was given a scholarship down there. So I thought I'll see where cricket takes me. And 20 years later, it took me straight back to the uni, which was an interesting journey. But it is a good gig. It's a good university. And I suppose, as I say, without getting too boring and serious, I've realised the importance of education coming from a family of teachers. So it's nice to be able to blend education, sport and India, a country that's been very kind to me. And we've got a shared sort of bond of cricket. It's nice to mix it all in.
How does it go over in India for you these days? Do you have to wear a disguise, or do you sort of embrace it? Or does, have you been forgotten?
Yeah, don't worry. I was wondering that 2.5 years. I was thinking, I've gone to India every year since 1996, my first trip over there, and fascinating country. But I was wondering about my currency, and typically in India, if you've even picked up a cricket bat in your backyard, you get mobbed. So to be an international cricketer, they know everything. They love it. It's proper religion. So I went over there and I was in an airport, had the face mask on, which everyone in the airport's wearing the face mask, and not much attention. I was starting to get a little bit disappointed, a bit frustrated. I thought maybe my values dipped. But finally a bloke come up and tapped me on the shoulder, turned around, he says, "You Gilchrist?" And I said, "Yeah, mate, yeah." And one of my colleagues said, "Oh, how'd you recognise him with the big face mask on?" He said, "I recognised his forehead." I don't know, my forehead's getting bigger and bigger, funnily enough, the older I get. But that's how he recognised me. Wow. So I reckon that in the years might be a giveaway.
Is it like the intensity of the Indian fans? I don't know whether it's because of just the sheer amount of people that live in India, but was there ever times where that was overwhelming, or did it take a while to get used to things like that when you were going over there?
No, I think, let's be really honest, any cricketer that's feeling a bit flat and low, all you do is go to India. It's so good for the ego. You get over there and they love you and adore you. And you're not used to it at first. It's quite exciting. There are parts of cricket tours when you're there where it grinds you down, like you have enough of it. You just think, I've never felt physically threatened in any bad way, but just the volume of people, the way they can crowd your personal space, they just want to get close to you and either get nowadays is a selfie. It used to be the autograph. But your little sanctuary is your hotel room, and that's where you can get in behind that closed door and you're just locked down. But of course, then you order room service and about 4 blokes bring it in and sort of stand around for the obligatory autograph session. But so it's hard to escape, but it is. It's fascinating. It's great. You can feel top of the world, you can feel bottom of the world, and all the emotional roller coaster in between, and that's on and off the field. So it is a wonderful experience.
On the tours you went over there, who was the most beloved of all the players you used to tour with?
Yeah, Brett Lee was until he started singing, and then that sort of saw him fall away a little bit. But Steve Waugh, Mr. Wog, they called him. I think Steve was the pioneer of opening, I think, as a player group, opening our eyes to what India was all about, how to go about it, how to sort of, wonderful term, embrace it and get out there and amongst it. But not everyone embraced it as equally as much as Stephen. The late, great Shane Warne didn't quite get there, certainly from a food aspect. The margarita pizza and baked beans weren't on many Indian restaurants' menus, but you had to find a way. And I think Tugger really, he was and remains so popular that he allowed us to start to learn a little bit about India while you're there. And funnily enough, all of a sudden we had a little bit of success there.
Was there, because they are so loving and embracing it, how were they as fans when you were playing? Did it like shift? You're like, holy shit, this guy was like shaking my hand and, loving me, and then now we're playing a game, and it's like, does their mentality change, or are they all still pretty fun, loving and carefree during matches?
Do you mean the crowd or opposition?
Yeah, the crowd.
Crowd fiercely supportive and of India and wanting to see India win, but in all seriousness, they just love cricket and they love the cricketers. it can feel hostile at times, in a match, just because their desperation is to see the home team win. But and typically you always felt like you're on the back foot in India, or if you weren't on the back foot, you're only about 1 hour in a bad batting display, and you can lose 6 or 7 wickets in a quick succession, and you are on the back foot. But no, that as soon as you've the game is over, they just the adulation for all cricketers is pretty extraordinary. So it's a pretty warm, nice feeling, I reckon.
Nice.
How would you describe the atmosphere of those games over in India? Because it seems like it's a bit of a carnival atmosphere on TV, but it's sort of hard to get a sense. Like in comparison to, say, England, where the Barmy Army's in full voice and the trumpets are going and that sort of thing. What's the Indian experience like?
Yeah, louder, more. I mean, in a test match, it can fluctuate. And I think as a general statement, globally, test crowds are down on what they used to be, except for the iconic series, Ashes and maybe India and Australia out here and a few others. But over there in test cricket, you could have a near empty stadium, and then Sachin would walk out to bat, and all of a sudden you think, geez, that's got loud, and you look around and they come and use their ticket to get in. They would often time their use of their ticket because they weren't spread too liberally around, so they had to pick and choose when they actually went into the ground. And if word got out Sachin was going into bat, all of a sudden you've got 30,000 in the stadium. And equally, if he got out, they disappear pretty quick. But T20 IPL is just one big party. It is just loud music, fireworks, the dances around the ground. It's successfully done, where they blended in cricket and Bollywood. So the Bollywood side of it is seriously entertaining, and that's what the whole IPL is. It is a fascinating cricket tournament to play in.
Is there a concern generally with cricket about with the success of T20s and the different competitions around the world? And as you were saying, that Test cricket crowds are down. Is there a major concern about that? And I mean, and also one dayers, we were sort of talking just before about how Ben Stokes has chosen the one dayers as the format that he's given up due to sort of burnout. Is there a general concern that IPL or that T20s is taking over and maybe taking away from the more traditional formats?
Yeah, look, I think Test cricket will survive. One day, 50-over cricket will be really under the microscope. But how Test cricket even survives in what how it looks and the layout and the calendar, I think cricket really is at a real sort of crossroads, or even at an intersection as to which way to go, left or right. Right, let's say turn right, and it's a traditional international calendar and all the home boards remain in control of their home players. Or you turn left and it's suddenly more like a European soccer stroke football, whatever you want to call it, model, where you are signed up with a club, a franchise, and occasionally get released to play for your country. And whether that's in a World Cup qualifier or a Test series, it becomes the World Series of Test cricket. Who knows? But David Warner is an example. He's one of what I would imagine will be a number of players requesting to go and play in a tournament in the UAE, which will conflict with the Big Bash this coming summer. Simply put, for 3 weeks' work, you can get 3 to 4 times the money. So that's where Cricket Australia's got a big decision to make, and it's probably where the ICC need to work out whether the international sort of bilateral series is still the way they want to go, or do they let, by way of example, IPL franchises go and buy up a team in every competition of T20 domestic cricket, and they have their players at just like a travelling roadshow. So it is at a crossroads. Having come through the journey I went on, my heart initially says, no, you can't compromise playing for your country. That's got to be the first and foremost thing. But the commercial side of it now, the reality is that the dollar is going to command everyone's attention. So that's what it seems to be the way it's heading.
it seems to me that when the IPL starts to, and all the franchises involved, and then Indian cricket largely start to flex on the world with like pure dollar value, like that sort of reality is going to be hard to ignore, right? Like if you're dangling a big, juicy $1 million contract in front of players' faces, I would imagine that that's going to be a hard carrot to turn down. And off the back of that, do you think that that will help sort of like streamline the season a little bit more? Because it seems at the moment like it's all over the place. Like you've got to choose between, you know, an IPL here, or maybe there's like a one-day tournament going on here, and then there's a 2020 tournament there. Like it feels a bit chaotic at the moment.
Yeah, that's a fair call. Even as a cricket lover, it's a bit confusing as to what's going on, who's playing where. I mean, you know, and to the point where there's been, even Australia's done it. At one point, while the test team's over about to play a test match, there's a one-day team somewhere else in the world representing Australia. India are starting to do that more and more. So confusing the fans, I think that showcases how in football, every week, you know, your team's playing. You know, every weekend your team's got to, and you can see the schedule a long way out. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, again, what decision cricket administrators make. And the dollar, the one thing I'll say about that is, yes, the players inevitably going to be drawn by the dollar and understand they've got to earn a living. And I was the beneficiary of playing in 6 IPLs, the first 6, and that was after I'd retired from international cricket. So it's a brilliant tournament. I love the IPL, and that should stay there. Whether they're talking about having a second IPL later in the year, so that takes out another 7 or 8 weeks of the calendar. So it's going to get tougher and tougher. And this is all for commercial value, really. Let's face it. It's just for the franchise owners to get their slice of the $6 billion pie that was the TV rights.
Jesus Christ.
But so again, use David Warner as an example. He's only in that position because he's played just about 100 test matches. He's played nearly 200 one-dayers. He's built, a back catalogue of work that he warrants that value. I guess as a young cricketer coming in, if I was advising a cricketer, I'd be saying, just be wary of chasing the dollar. David Warner did that because he loved the game and he just played it. And that's what I remember. You just played it. And if you got picked in a team, brilliant. To sit there and go, right, I just want to get rich, which I think everyone loves to do that.
Yeah.
You got to still put a body of work together that means you're going to be able to command those fees. And so, be careful cannibalising the traditional formats or the traditional pathway, because as quickly as you might be headlines in a franchise, you'll be on the chopping room floor as well, as if you haven't enabled yourself to have a foundation of skill and talent and experience to survive a challenging time.
Well, while we've got you talking just general cricket news, how did you see our recent performances against Sri Lanka? Obviously, the first test got a win. Second one, we got pumped. What do you think? Is there much to take from a series like that? It's 2 games. Like, do we read into anything too much, or is it just, as we're talking about in this kind of clustered yearly calendar, it's just a series and with this,
Yeah, well, it is just a series, but I guess that's what, when you're in the Australian cricket team, in the test team, it's an important series. Like you don't want to lose any series, whether it's home or away. So I think people might say it's a low-profile series or whatever, but that's not what my recollection was going to Sri Lanka and playing there. We knew it was the most important series that we had at that time. And then the next one became that, and then the next one. So Australia will be disappointed having smashed them in the first one and then been on the wrong side in the second one. But that's the nature of the beast in the subcontinent. And that's like what I said. You're only 1 hour away, one bad batting hour away from being on the back foot. And then you're only one bad bowling session away where you've let the others get ahead. And that's what happened. Really tough conditions. But talking to, I was chatting with Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood last week, and I sort of said, dodgy wickets, like tough conditions. And they said, the first one wasn't great, but the second test wicket was really good, and we just got outplayed. So you can't, palm it off as dodgy doctored pitches, they admitted that the second Test match pitch was better than the first, so they probably felt like they could have achieved more in that second Test. So nothing to read into other than it was a tough, hard-fought series, and that the subcontinental teams play their home conditions really well.
If you were to run an eye over Australia's wicket-keeping stocks, do you think that Alex Carey's going to be there into the future? Do you think there might be a change coming up? What's your read on that?
Yeah, and also to that, is he reached a point now where he's like, is he still in a period where he can be dropped? You know what I mean? He's not like a lock.
Yeah.
I think he's on the back of that series. He showed his serious value as a team player, the way he contributes with the bat. Generally, he's really safe with his keeping, but he did miss a couple of stumpings in that second Test that he himself will feel he should have got. There was one or two over the course of that series that were tough ones that you sort of go, well, that's a bonus, but there's a couple there where he would have thought he should have affected it, and that might have changed or altered the landscape a bit. But no, he's pretty safe bet at the moment. I think he certainly in Test cricket. Be interesting to see what happens in T20. I don't think he'll find his way back in the T20 setup once Matt Wade finishes up after the T20 World Cup. I'd say Inglis might get his nose in front there. But for the moment, I don't think there needs to be too much pressure put on Alex Carey. He's a vital member in and around the group. His leadership is the respect and regard with which he's held around the group. So he's pretty level head, even head. He won't get too concerned or too down when it goes too bad, and he won't get too carried away when it goes well. So that's what you want, consistency.
Do you feel, because of the place you hold in the game and because of your reputation precedes you as a batter, but as a wicketkeeper specifically here, do you feel like you've got to be much more measured at the way you give appraisal of performances from wicketkeepers because, you're Adam Gilchrist, and if you say something, it's going to be headlined straight away? Have you got to be a little bit more measured?
I don't know. It's a good point. I don't know if it's concern about it becoming a headline or anything like that. I understand that anyone in any industry or sport that's had a fair bit of experience and certainly is in the broadcast game is going to get quoted or going to get attention. But I just try to think back to when I was playing, what I would feel comfortable with or feel accepting of by way of people's commentary or comment. And if I wouldn't say I necessarily have to be measured, but I just want to make sure I think it through before I say it. And as I say, like, to use the terminology, Carey missed a couple that he would felt like he should have got. I would think that's fair and accurate. If I was playing and I had a one particular tour in India where I missed a few and one or two of them were ones I should have got. Some people came out and said that was disgraceful. How can he miss that? And that was people that hadn't even wicket before. So
sounds like sort of shit we say. It sounds like me and Eddie.
No, I get that. And that might be me when I'm watching the footy. And I've never played a game of AFL that I remember. But it's you're just trying to be balanced. And I guess I'm probably also, having been out there in the middle, you just don't want to fuel it by adding more pressure by saying something too dramatic that then is going to make it more challenging for the people out there. You care for these blokes because I'm fortunate to get to know them and you're just trying to help them out.
Is there a world, is it crazy that where Tim Payne has any sort of path back, or is it now a bit like, let's look at the next generation? Because obviously, when he departed, it wasn't based on form, right? So if let's say Carey got sick, I don't know, but is Tim Payne even in the conversation anymore, or is it just next up?
No, he's not. Well, he's not playing any cricket, is he? And I don't know what he's going to do this summer. Whether he's going to attempt to try and play some state cricket and get back in there. I suspect not. It's been a really tough road for him, and he's really been had to deal with a lot publicly, had to deal with a lot obviously privately. So I wouldn't expect. We'll have to wait and see whether he has an appetite to play any cricket at all. But I wouldn't think there'd be any way that he'll be even looking to try and force his way back into the top level. I'd be surprised, but that's, as you say, that wasn't a form thing, and he was doing a terrific job in a cricketing sense, leading that team.
How does it make you feel, right, when one of our wicket keepers goes to the crease and they don't score a 50 and everyone gets pissed off? Because, you created this environment where not only did you keep your dick off, but you could go out and score 100 off 60 balls. And now it's just, even all these years later, there's still a bit of an expectation that our keepers can bat really well because of
they do bat well, though. I mean,
has a wicketkeeper scored 100 since you? I don't know if they have. Yeah. Oh, they probably have, actually. I take that
one
back.
Or two.
Haddon and Wade have got a couple, but
a few out, but,
not enough.
Yeah, Brad Haddon did
not enough for mine.
Oh, mate, the white ball cricket changed it. 50 over cricket came in, and all of a sudden, everyone had to chip in with two facets of the game. So, but we're well stocked for wicket keepers around the country. I reckon we got a few there that could very well go on and produce a good. Josh Phillippe, Benny McDermott, Inglis, Carey's there. There's a good batch there.
Yeah. Look, so you said you were over in India for the. Was it University of Wollongong? You said you almost went to University of Wollongong, but then the bright lights of cricket came along. What was, at that stage of your life, had you been earmarked for higher honours during your sort of, I guess your teen years and stuff? Had you always been a weapon? Had you always felt like that was something that was within reach for you?
Funny one, that question. It's sort of like, a lot of people say, when did you know you were good? And then it goes to, what else were you good at? And we were sitting around the change rooms once in a rain delay, and we threw the question around the teammates, what was your best other sport? And I sort of would say, well, not necessarily good at it, but probably my strongest other suit was maybe soccer. And then, Ricky Ponting said golf, because he plays off scratch, and got around to Mark Waugh, and he said soccer, rugby league, tennis, golf. He named just about every sport known to mankind, but which tells me two things. He's a very talented sportsman, and he was an absolute big head. But he was right. He was good at everything. I don't know. I never stopped to assess that. You just played, and obviously it was the old fork in the road moment again, whether you go to university that you got into or go and commit your life and sort of full time to cricket and give that a crack. I remember an English teacher telling me, get focused on doing something with your life, not just sport. And I went, well, that's a good incentive to go and try sport from that particular English teacher. So you just sort of went about it, didn't stop to assess where you were at on the journey, other than know that you wanted to get to the next level. So when I was playing my first game of first grade, I aspired just to get to the Shield level. The ultimate dream play for Australia, but you just wanted to get to the next level and get comfortable and contribute. So didn't do a lot of self-analysis along the way at any stage, even when I made it into the Australian team. Probably because I didn't really like what I saw.
That seems like quite a good thing though. So was there not sort of performance anxiety, stress, things like that would, you weren't super critical of how you were going or anything. Yeah. You were just able to be quite relaxed out there. That's kind of I feel like there'd be, there's quite an effort made these days with young players coming through and things like that to try and free them of those expectations and keep them relaxed, whereas it seems like it came quite naturally to you.
Yeah, I think so. I think it did. And the only time I really started to fall into that mode was right near the end of my career. 2005, 2006, England, Andrew Flintoff in particular, got a hold of me a bit with ball in hand and created a few doubts. So, to the point where I started to geez, have I bluffed my way here? You know, is the secret out? Am I not that good? But yeah, so fortunately, I didn't have a career where I was wrestling mentally. I think there was a little bit of uncertainty there than what I probably acknowledged, but that's what provided the edge and the incentive to keep working hard and keep preparing well, and when it went well, celebrating. Because I reckon that the great art of celebrating might be lost in professional sport too, and the allowance of a good celebration without then having to be accountable for absolutely everything that is out in public.
Yeah.
Mind you, the only trouble is with the modern day professional sports person, they tend to want to film everything they do and then they go and release it themselves. So, I mean, I don't think everyone in other eras was doing a lot different, just chose not to film it.
Yeah, the self-sabotage there.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying, Gilly, is that you need to blow off steam in order to be great.
Win, lose or draw in a test match. I mean, if you think about a test cricket game, you're there 5 days playing, you're there for 3 or 4 days prior preparing. So your best part of a week to 10 days of focus and professionalism and concentration. And if there's one thing Ian Healy taught me on the 1997 Ashes tour, he was obviously the main wicketkeeper and I was reserve. He just showed me that at the end of a test, you got to let off steam, as you say. You just got to go out and find a way, and then you dust yourself off and get ready to get focused on the next one. But so I reckon I upheld my part of the bargain there. I reckon I did it.
Was there a particular series victory or moment that elicited the greatest rip and tear from you and your teammates? And also wrapped in on that, who was the greatest ripper and tearer?
We were a team that were very fortunate to be successful. So there was a number of celebrations, most series, in fact. But look, India in 2004 was particularly pleasing. That was like the holy grail for our era, to win a test series in India. As far as celebration there, it wasn't any particular, high point of the celebration. It just went for quite a few days. But I do remember winning a very good test match in South Africa in Cape Town. Ricky Ponting got 100 in both innings, I think. But he certainly got 100 in the second innings chasing. And then he led us in our team song up on the cable car up to Table Mountain. For those that have never been to Cape Town, there's a massive, beautiful big mountain, Table Mountain, and there's a cable car that runs from down in the town all the way up to the top. And late in the evening, normally you do the team song in the team change room, but he took us off piste. And in fact, it might have been Langer who was in charge because Ponting was captain. And anyway, we got into the cable car and someone came up with the bright idea to get on top of the cable car. And we paraded up there. Yeah, brilliant. The whole team could have been wiped out, but it was one of the most extraordinary celebrations and sort of surreal feelings, and spoiled only when Matthew Hayden decided to get naked. And you don't
Some
need
might have enjoyed that.
Well,
we probably would have encouraged it.
100%. You
like a bit of nudity, boys, there?
Well, if it's Matt Hayden, I do, yeah. You talk of this team song. Tom and I always sort of like try to run an eye over the current setup and try and predict who might be earmarked to take over from Gaz. What's your feeling on it? What sort of person do you need to be to lead the team song? Like, what are the sort of the characteristics of
but also like when Hussey picked Gaz was what didn't seem like he was cemented in the side.
He picked him out of
It's one of the great calls all time.
Exactly.
It is. That's proper vision from Mr. Cricket, isn't it? He knew his stuff. I think everyone was a bit. He ticked every other box. Gaz, he's just heart and soul of the team. Just good bloke. No pretense or anything like that. Just hard worker, enjoys the celebration, isn't looking to leave the celebration early. He's a stayer. So he had all the right attributes, but the other thing you've got to be is in the team, and and that helps. But well done, Mr. C. Nailed that right on the head. Who's there at the moment going down the list? It's got to be someone. You don't want to be chopping and change. You don't want to hand it to someone who's only going to be there for another year. So you've got to try to have that type of vision like Huss had. And it can't be someone who's captain. So, geez, going down that list, it'd be a bit early, a bit too much to bestow on young Cam Green, I reckon, at the moment. He's locked in now. He's gonna be a 10-year player, isn't he? So, it's in the bowling group. It's probably time to get it back. Hey, what about Alex Carey? That'd work.
Well, yeah.
There you go.
If he starts hitting some tons.
Get it back to the old days. Bacchus Marsh was the last wicketkeeper to do it in Test cricket, I reckon.
You reckon the wicket keepers are due again?
I was given the honour in one-day cricket for a little while. When Ricky was made captain of the one-day team, he got me to do it in the one-dayers. But he went straight past me in the test and went to Langer, which has been a little bit of a sore point. I reckon he can go stuff himself. But, Alex Carey, I reckon he epitomises everything about that team that's good.
Okay. All right. Happy to go with Carey.
Happy to go with it?
Happy to do it.
Straight from the horse's mouth?
Yep.
Absolutely. Listen, I wanted to know, on wicket keeping, was that something that you were always in love with? Like, did you dream of being a wicket keeper your entire career? Or was it something where it was like no one else wanted to do it and so you put your hand up?
Yeah, I was going to be the world's fastest bowler when I was really young. And then I went shopping one day with Mum and Dad. We were in Southern Riverina, Deniliquin. Small town, Danny, and we went to the Big Smoke of Shepparton. That was like the Big Smoke for us.
Jesus
and
Christ.
in the Super Kmart, in the sports section, I saw a pair of wicket-keeping gloves. And I just thought, wow, they look cool. So green and white, and Santa Claus Julie came through with them not long after, and that was me. Fell in love with wicket-keeping, Rod Marsh hero, to the point the first game I wicket kept, I broke my nose. The ball came in. That might have been a hint to say don't go down this pathway, but missed the ball, broke my nose. In hospital that night, the nurse told me that Rod Marsh broke his nose the first time he ever wicket kept. So that was.
Well, there you go.
Oh, we like
That's
that.
nice.
Yeah, I met Rod Marsh obviously later on and asked him about it, and he said, "No, I've never broken my nose." So she was full of shit. But she inspired a young kid to go on with his career.
Well, that's nice. When it comes to wicket keeping as well, we discussed this once about just the general, like a day in the field with Test cricket is grueling. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. I could see a world where, in the sort of same vein as like a Pilates yoga thing, that you could develop some sort of exercise regimen where you basically just for 100 overs or however long, just 90 overs, just up and down, up and down. Is there legs there? If we were to take the ball and run with it, whether we can get you on as an ambassador, is that too crazy of an idea?
What? So you're inventing a Pilates program based around the movements of a wicketkeeper?
Pilates-esque. We wouldn't call it Pilates. Obviously, we'd call it keeping.
It's called keeping with Tom and Eddie, and it mimics a day in the field for a wicketkeeper.
Sounds like Chinese torture, I reckon. But anyway, I reckon the only prerequisite of that, I'm more than happy to look at this, but I do think it would be crucial to make sure that you integrate the appropriate amount of drinks breaks. And given that, you need to replenish your fluids and keep hydrated, a couple of the beverages, one in particular that I can spot in your little spirit cabinet behind you there, which I know the listeners out there won't be able to see it, but whether you throw the visual podcast out. But you're on YouTube, are we?
Yeah, we will be at some point eventually. But look, this is the tequila that you spotted as soon as we came on. You spotted the tequila, and I was incredibly impressed because we bought this a week ago, yet to be opened, Fortaleza tequila, Reposado. And yeah, you noticed it straight away. We're big on our tequilas, Eddie and I have been probably for, basically this has been the year of the tequila, I'd say, for you and I.
2022 is the year
2022, the year of tequila. Do you have a favorite tequila that you drink? What's your, because this was impressive. You spotted that. We got a bunch of drinks under that cabinet.
Yeah, no, that's a fine drop, that one. My favourite one, it's a little bit commercial. The real toffs will screw their nose up and say, "Oh, you've just been taken by the commercial dollar." But one called Casamigos, which is a great George Clooney's one that he sold for about 900 million.
Yep.
So good luck to him.
Well done
Obviously,
to George.
He needed a little leg up, George. He wasn't going all that well. Casamigos, Don Julio is not too bad. Or the other one is one that you have to search this one up. It's called Arete. ARETE.
Okay.
That's a genuinely good one.
Okay.
That you can find it. Find it somewhere. I can find it here in Perth if you need it. But I think the key ingredient on top of the tequila is just a couple of dashes of Tabasco sauce. You have yourself a prairie fire, and I've just got to get my shares in the tequila company before I let the World Health Organization know that is the true vaccine.
Okay.
Oh,
Right.
that's it. You don't
One
get
a day.
sick.
We haven't been sick for ages, you and I,
No,
technically.
well, that's
Wow.
a great point. Put a bit of Tabasco on the top.
in there.
Thanks
I haven't
very
heard
much.
about that before. That's good. That's impressive. I'll definitely give that a go. We're also big Casamigos proponents.
We are.
Look, Patron, but this one we're excited. Had we known that you were a big tequila operator when we first came on, then I can guarantee you these would have already been poured out. But, we'll have to wait till we get to meet you in person.
We'll do that one the next time when we're in studio.
Yeah,
It'd be nice
absolutely.
to. It would be nice to share one.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's what our future holds, don't
Yeah.
you?
What else also the future holds? So we've had your great mate Ricky Ponting on the show as well. And, had a good chat with Rick. We also beat him in a coin toss. Don't want to brag, but we did. We beat the great man in a coin toss. Our best of 5. He lost the first one and made us go to 5. Incredibly competitive. But
Yes.
at Hello Sport, we have a very, very illustrious group, and it is baggy green members as well. I know you have a baggy green for cricket, but this is more.
This is more important.
This is more illustrious. There's only like 20 people in it. Ricky Ponting is one of them. The great Peter Volandis is another one. And it's not all about big wigs. There are some regular punters who have earned their way to greatness as well. But we would like to. We've got one for you here. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. The Hello Sport baggy green, and it would be an honour for us if we would be able to induct you into the side, and obviously we'd mail one directly to SEN. I'm sure you don't want to give us your home address, but you can if you want.
Oh, look, that's a pretty steady looking cap. I can see there, but
He's overwhelmed.
No, that looks
you're
unreal.
overwhelmed with emotion.
He's lost for words. He's overwhelmed.
I'd be thrilled to be part of that 11. Any 11 that's got Ricky Ponting in there, or 20, or however many you got.
Yep.
But no, I feel privileged, guys. In fact, what better way to, maybe you need to hold on to it until we can sit, literally wet the baby's head, so to speak. Wet the cat's head.
I think because I'd like to hand it over to you in person. It feels a bit sort of dirty, almost mailing
it, and I don't trust Australia Post, Eddie. We've had too much issues with merch over the years to mess with Australia Post or something this proud.
Look, I want to look you in the eyes, Gilly, and I want to cheers you with a fine tequila. That's how I want to see it done.
Yeah.
That's it. That's where I don't need a speech. I don't need to hear about the history of the club, the elite club that I'm joining, and what it means to be a member and upholding all the values.
No.
All I need is cheers, boys. Clink the glasses and bang it down.
Beautiful. I think that's a perfect play. Oh, did you want to?
I want to ask you one
more.
thing before you go. I just want you to make me feel better because it's you see it popping up every now and then, and it's highly concerning. Is there any risk, do you think, that they will take Test cricket from 5 days to 4? Is that should I be concerned?
Oh, I reckon it's in the discussion. I reckon.
Jesus.
So.
Well, if you have any say.
There's a whole lot that cricket needs to work out, what direction it's going, what's important. But, look, I haven't heard it mentioned for a little while, but it could easily be something that they consider to try and keep it relevant in the fast pace of the other games. So I'll wait and see. I hope not. 5 days is, Jesus, it's the best cricket. It is the best cricket.
And it's just a built-in excuse to do nothing for 5 days. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
Not that I need it. Well, we did need one.
Well, put it this way: if in an Ashes series in Australia they took 1 day away, we'd be 5 days less. Across the summer.
No, and with rain, we don't need that.
I don't need that.
We don't need that. Adam Gilchrist, thank you very much for coming on, mate. It was it was an honour to have you on. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get some sleep. Breakfast radio is a nightmare. Look forward to meeting you one day and sharing a tequila and giving you that baggy green.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, can't wait, boys. Good to chat.
Good man. Cheers.
Thanks, Gilly. Cheers, mate.
Could you two just not talk anymore?